I'm cooking chicken and beans for Rinpoche. He's coming today.
The present for Rinpoche. I make it myself.
So it's amazing that this chicken came and laid this egg today on Akong Rinpoche's arrival. Last time when Rinpoche was here, about 3 years ago, it also happened on the day of his arrival. Maybe it's something that is auspicious. The situation here in Zimbabwe is very tough. Buddhist teachings, it helps me quite a lot. In fact, it enables me to help others. I abstain from negativity.
When he comes, we greet him, right? Then he goes and sits. Then watch for Rob, what Rob is going to do with the carter. And after that, we do the same.
Hello.
He's the founding president of Rockborough International, and therefore he's the president of all the Rockborough organizations in Southern Africa, and he's also the spiritual teacher of a lot of us, and he has been for about the last 25 years. He's a tulku, which means somebody who attained some level of realization, perhaps not full enlightenment, in a former life, and was voluntarily born this time due to bodhisattva vow. So he's born only to help beings. Therefore, on that basis, one would regard him as somebody who was born already at a level of enlightenment, if not full enlightenment.
In Zimbabwe, in the last few years, there's quite a difficult time, and therefore to try to increase the charitable activity through the spiritual way, so that it can be non-political. So then I came this year to try to see the projects. Is it for me? Yeah.
We're going to Jabara Sekwe Extension, which is a squatter area where people were moved from another squatter area, and it was meant to be a transit camp, but people are still there trying to survive. We're very anxious to know where Tibet was.
Oh yeah, it is.
Some have moved. There were houses in between where people have gone somewhere else to stay.
They have a small garden, is it?
Yes. Yes.
Whether it's you're Christian or non-Christian or Buddhist, I think it's pure charity as has the same value. The person, deep from their heart, the charity, if it comes, it will be the same value.
He wants a job. This is one thing that is very difficult. Very difficult.
They have some garden?
Vegetables.
Vegetable.
Where? Let us see. Actually, no rain. So I think they, water by hand.
I think normal charity is you're very much concerned with your identity. The people who gives charity, you wish to remain that, so to how become I'm famous because I paid so much money. And if you build a house, you want the names in the outside building itself. In the spiritual charity, do not expect it anything. So you're really thinking the need for the people by doing your charity.
So we're very happy that she's a bit better. Not so sick anymore.
I think about perhaps 200 or 300 have taken refuge in Zimbabwe, so maybe there are 300 or 400 who think of themselves as Buddhist. So there are a lot of contacts, and I think Buddhism is helping a lot in that area. Then, of course, it's also helping African people learn a dimension of meditation which wasn't part of their tradition, but which fits very well into it. So they're able easily to learn from that. I think the most important thing Buddhism is offering here in Zimbabwe is affirming the value of African people's traditional religious beliefs and practices, and bringing to them a message of religious tolerance, and also confirming that the teachings of compassion contained in their religion are recognized also in a world religion like Buddhism.
Yes, I've made a walking stick for Rinpoche, for offering to him, to remember me at any in his life. I meditate 3 times a day. In the morning, the time I woke up, I use my meditation. Before lunch, I use my meditation. When I'm going to sleep, I also do my meditation.
You meditate as like you eating sugar. If you never took sugar, you wouldn't know what kind of experience it have to be. You can study many books, but the books will tell you only ideas, but you don't have the experience. So meditation is experience.
I'm using this snuff for the sake of the spirit medium. I'm spirit medium. I can talk to the other spirits either in dreams or in visions.
Tomorrow, Rinpoche is going to bury one of those bumpas here. A bumpa is, the word means vase. It's had some special blessed substances put into it by Dilgo Chense Rinpoche, and he's sent them all over the world. And he allocated, I think, 14 or something for Zimbabwe. And by a miracle, the Zimbabwe ones arrived a couple of days ago. So it'll be right in the middle of the shrine. But it's going to be a joint ceremony because, first of all, Sekuru Shumba will come and call the local spirits.
I'm also a Buddhist for more than 10 years. I first use my African ceremony, then I'll come to the prayers of Buddhist. I'll do ceremony to the big spirits of Zimbabwe. I'll let them know that there is a new building to be built there, to protect the building, so there will be no surprise to them to say, we don't know this building. The snuff, all the spirits are there in the snuff, because when we cook the snuff, we put it under the tree and we have a ceremony there to let all the spirit know about the snuff.
We do the same thing, especially that people who original African traditions, like there's many similarities in sense of responsibility to looking after the parents, or the wish to looking after the countries, and they are very much concerned with the natures, to how to maintain, how to protect. So I think there's many similarities.
Buddhism helps me very much because when I use some of the mantra, when I've got problems, sometimes I'll be having no money, getting weak in the body, and I'll be having no dreams. So in order to get dreams, I'll use my prayers for Buddhist dreams to remind me what is coming on in the future. One example is this. I had a dream that I should lean against the back of Rinpoche. So I've done it 20 minutes ago.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
It means it's a bit of sharing of powers.
And then Rinpoche will do fire puja. It's a fire offering where you have a fire and you offer certain substances like oil, cloth, incense, food. The bompas are for re-establishing the balance in the earth, so the earth becomes more fertile, more harmonious. The energies of nature are reharmonized because we've been throwing them out of balance with all our mining and our pollution.
I first took refuge in 1997 with Akong Rinpoche. I was raised by my uncle. His name was Louis Chipupi. He was attracted to Buddhism. That's how it started. So we are still waiting for their reply for our application. So we have been allocated a small piece of land, and I'm the one who is looking after the property. So far there is a 2-roomed cottage. That's where I reside. I live on my own. No, I have no children.
This is your bedroom.
This is my bedroom. Making money now, it's a bit difficult for me because the situation here in Zimbabwe is very tough.
Good.
I'll be having electricity very soon.
Yeah.
See, they are putting all this. It's all new.
How about the water?
The water, I'll show you. I don't have a job, but since I'm staying on this property, I'm trying to grow some vegetables. He threw some grains of rice, so that was a way of blessing, a blessing.
We talk very much about blessing. Blessing is like raindrop for the earth. If you want to grow something, you need a rain. It does not grow by itself. Where is the river?
The river is just a few meters down along this direction. Do you want to go to the river? About my hand, in fact I was born like this. The teachings, you have to cope with the present situation. So I have to try and manage, despite of the fact that I have one hand. In fact, now it's working well. I'm not worried about it. The main thing that I have learned from Buddhism is we have to cultivate compassion. And in life, we should always try and exercise mindfulness. So it means knowing what's happening moment by moment.
I got digging job. Digging is my favorite job.
Rinpoche, now you've broken our pick.
African too. Didn't last very long, this too.
Rob, is Akong Rinpoche your teacher?
Yes.
So you are Rob's guru?
I don't know Guru. I consider he's a friend. Yeah. Guru has a kind of a very misleading of the word.
How do you mean?
Or somebody have to be very pure, very sense. They don't do any bad things. They don't do any even bad thinking. Have to be holy, but I'm not a holy person.
But Rob thinks you are.
Maybe that's Rob's view. I consider he's a friend. I don't know whether I teach Rob or Rob teach me, but we communicate each other.
Rinpoche never stops teaching me. All the time.
And the Buddha teachings say it doesn't really matter. Then the teachings what were received is always pure.
Most enlightened beings say that, I find. Because they don't want to boast and they don't want to lead people to formulate unrealistic ideas about them, I think. And also, what they're trying to do is relate to us at a level that we can manage and not worry about too much about is that person enlightened or what, those sort of things. We've got this hole which is directly south of the new shrine room, and we're going to plant a Bodhi tree here today. And the tree is going to be a memorial for the young architect who designed or helped design the new shrine room. And about a month ago he was murdered in a very unfortunate way. He was murdered in his home. Robbers broke in and murdered him. And since the Bodhi tree is the symbol of the place where the Buddha was enlightened, it makes a nice connection for him and keeps a good memory in people's minds. I've got to say it.
You good job.
Delegation. Yeah. So the other day Rinpoche was saying how very often in the world where there's violence, we, particularly if people are killed, we tend to get caught up in blame and revenge, and then things just get worse and worse and worse. But the Buddha's teaching is we learn to forgive even when people have done very harmful things to us, and in this way we can heal situations and we can let violent actions eventually be forgotten so that even our enemies can eventually become our friends, and that's the way we are able to make peace in the world and peace in our own hearts.
And it's a great opportunity as a Buddhist to able to accept this, all the sufferings. Liberation is not by fighting, but the real liberation is in your mind. But spiritual is a very strong thing. If you apply this, it's much more stronger than an army.
Go and say hello to Akong Rinpoche.
That's me, yeah.
Elizabeth,
Three
please do
children.
your introduction.
Okay. Makadini mama. Utakutsika pamba penyu ka. Tayana wayenzi.
Yeah, my husband died.
Okay, and then after he died, she went to her rural home. But after some time, she was actually rejected by the family in the rural home.
So, how
Lorraine?
many children goes to school?
Lorraine is in Form 4. Go and greet Akom Posh, Lorraine. This is Lorraine. This is the older daughter. Lorraine wasn't coming to school because she was hunting round, going to the suburbs, hunting for food because the family had totally nothing. And, just a plastic shelter to stay in. So this is how we came to visit them, found this hut to help them with accommodation to live.
I'm trying to practice, generosity. When we talk of generosity, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to give material things only.
This is 7 days. This is our African balls, brandy, chateu, smirnoff, everything.
So sometimes if you share the words of wisdom with others, it's generosity. Even if someone is hungry and is in need of something that I can help, I can give the little that I have. Since he's a teacher, he's a lama, enlightened one. And whenever you ask him, he gives, straight to the point answers. Then some of the advices, what he tells you to do, it takes quite a long time to do. So I think it's okay, even if I see him once after 3 or 4 years. Yeah, my mother is so much worried about me not getting married, in connection with our culture. Shona culture, they respect marriage, but during these days it's so much difficult. So Rinpoche was just telling me that a lot of people are getting married and they have kids and sometimes they die and leave those kids behind. So instead you'll be creating more problems. The other thing is I asked Rinpoche about working. It's very difficult these days to survive even if one has got a job. So I was just wondering if I could go to England, if by any chance someone can help me by processing the papers so that I could go and work there. So Rinpoche said it's such a good idea, such that whenever I go and come back, I will be also in a position to help my friends and relatives here in Zimbabwe.
I think suffering is everywhere. I don't think it's only Zimbabwe. The rich people has suffering because too much wealth and they don't know how to take care. Like example, if you look at a country which they had committed suicide, is a much higher rate in the rich country than a poor country. So rich people has suffering because too much wealth and they don't know how to take care. The suffering is nothing to do with rich or poor. It's one of the human nature. So everybody has equal suffering. So I don't see Zimbabwe has extra suffering.
You know, the average person here is living with a very unavoidable, brutal reality. Whereas in the West, in the first world, for example, I think suffering is much more masked because there's much more affluence. So people seem to be happy, but there's a far greater amount of psychological suffering which is masked. We have so many ways of escaping. You know, we can spend our times watching TV or taking drugs or becoming addicted to alcohol or rushing around and, you know, constantly buying new things and all those things that are so characteristic of a first world life. Many of those activities are just escape from facing ourselves and what's really going on in ourselves. And people can focus their energy into acquiring possessions and having kind of short-term moments of enjoyment. And therefore they think, oh, well, I'm happy. But so often, I mean not always, but so often underneath that, people aren't really happy. I'm working on a book that might be called The Psychology of Happiness. I'm looking in detail at what makes people happy and how we can let go of ways of living and being that cause unnecessary suffering. If you try and be happy just for yourself, you won't be happy. If you try to make others happy, you will become happy.
DVD's bestellen van onze programma's? Bel 040 282 0022. Wilt u meer weten over onze uitzendingen? Vraag dan nu de gratis programmagids aan. Bel 035 629 3191 of kijk op www.boeddhistischeomroep.nl.